This is the Under Segovia Show.
For better or worse, social media is part of our everyday lives, whether we like it or not. And we've seen the damage that it could do, but also how it could bring us together as people. A lot of the discourse, I use that loosely because a lot of arguing and mudslinging going on these social media platforms, but it does tend to happen on some of the major social media platforms. However, as we practice our First Amendment to freely express ourselves and freely speak, some of these platforms are not honoring those things. So for this episode, it's kind of like a update as to where the social media landscape is since last year. Because since last year, we had some come back from the dead, we had new players come in, and there are other players that are really no longer around or are kind of like a graveyard at this point. And major shifts among some of the players and how they conduct, what features they have or what they don't have, and things like that. So to do this, I didn't want to do this by myself. So I did invite my friend Yossi from the Yossi Schmidt show to be on the program to discuss this, because he does deep dives into these social media platforms in his reviews, and he also goes deep into the terms of service and checks to see if these companies are actually upholding their end of the bargain when they're dealing with your data and what they purport to uphold when it comes to, say, content moderation, freedom of speech, and things like that. And some of the results may actually shock you. So this was supposed to be a small segment with Yossi, but we ended up going very long and deep into some of these big players in the social media landscape, not including Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I don't care about Facebook, so I didn't even include that. But there are players in here that you might be on or are interested in being on, and some that are quite frankly controversial just because of either who's running it or who you might find on it. So we did go into those things. That's why this turned out to be a lot longer than I expected. But before I get to our conversation, let me pose this question to you. If you're on social media, is there too much of it? Is there not enough of it? Is there room for competition? Should we scale back? Is it really that important? I guess that's more than one question. But really, let me know, what are your thoughts about social media in general? And now here's what I think of it as I share and address some controversies with Yossi about stuff that have happened on major players like X, Threads, and others. All right, buddy. I invited you on because you do reviews of social media platforms. You've actually dropped a scorching review recently of one of these platforms that we're going to talk about. And you've been on my show before, so some people might recognize you, but for those that don't, just go ahead and tell them what you do.
My name is Yossi Schmidt, and I do a host of things. I am an alternative social media platform reviewer, and by that I mean not just free speech alternatives. Like, I just reviewed Bluesky, and I reviewed Mastodon and Threads. They never claimed to be free speech havens. But they did, but they didn't. They claimed to get away from X, to get away from all the hate.
Yeah.
So that's pretty clear, straight up, that they do not like hate speech. The problem with that is hate speech is protected. I'm an Orthodox Jew, but if someone says that they hate Jews, you're free to say that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you say. Your opinion doesn't affect me. You're not getting in my face. It's up to me to scroll past it, mute it, or there's plenty of big creators that I muted because you're saying a bunch of things that I consider nonsense.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you don't have a right to talk. So I do that. I also do a daily news roundup. I have my own podcast. And the motto of the parent company, what I do, is called the Digital Free Press. But the motto is hold everyone accountable.
Yep.
Including myself. Hold everyone accountable. Doesn't make a difference what party, doesn't make a difference who, what, where. Everyone needs to be accountable.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Everyone needs to follow the laws, and everyone needs to know that they're not above the law. They're not above free speech. They're not above anything. They have to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And also, my other motto is transparency is key. You got to be transparent. You got to show everyone what you're doing. You got to show your fans what's going on behind the scenes. You got to be as transparent as possible. Yes, there are some things that you can't say per se, but everything that you can say it. Don't let anything hold you back from being transparent.
Yeah. And I agree with the models, the work ethic. That's why I'm like, we gotta. When I had you on your show, or I had you on my show. I'm like, I gotta have you on again, because you do a lot of the stuff that I used to do early on in my show when it was really more news oriented, before it became discussion and issue oriented. So you have done several. You actually dropped at least 2 or 3 reviews recently on social media platforms, and I often get asked about these social media platforms. And we're going to be doing some overview. But before we jump into the ones that you reviewed, I'm going to share this screen because it's going to be X. We're going to start with the most obvious of them all because, well, that's the one that everybody talks about. So, did it die off, or is it still thriving? And let me pull up my timeline on this one. And it looks like Laura just dropped another piece here. Ha! You got her attention with your post. I saw the exchange.
Listen, people need to stop saying that they are that they come first when they're not. I'm sorry, no disrespect to anybody, but we live in a stage. I actually tied it into free speech, and where people steal things and they claim it's theirs.
Yeah.
You gotta stop that. You gotta stop dragging creators. You gotta stop claiming that you were first. You gotta stop. Give credit where credit's due, and then people will credit you where your credit is due. It's a two-way street.
No, I hear you. I do believe though that what she was saying with respects to the medical thing, that she was correct in that because when that broke, there were a lot on the right that were telling her to take it down because she's embarrassing herself. There's no proof of this, and I'm talking about Roz alerts, talking about Breaking 911, and others that were just telling her to stop it. This is just nonsense. And I was a believer on July. I think it was July 5th, early July, because on July 22nd is like 3 weeks later, where there was an admission of some kind of medical emergency, and others started covering it, and some people were starting to realize what Laura was saying and apologizing to her. So I think that's where things could get lost, but I also get where things can be like, hey, I said it first, and people don't credit it. It happens. It happens a lot, but I really hate it when there's content stealers, and there's a lot of those accounts on X, and speaking on X, that's kind of what I like and I don't like. X is the place where all the news happens. Absolutely, people can try to brush it off, but they can't because this is where the news happens. Even when I had left at back then Twitter, I still had a private account that I used just so I could keep up with some news because they only existed there. Don't exist anywhere else. And that still holds true today after all these other platforms showed up. So this is where the news happens. But there's a lot of content stealers. There's a lot of engagement farming, and with this whole digital creator thing to get paid, like every 3
Don't
weeks.
even get me started about that.
I know, right? They're not even contributing anything. But now, after this last creator payout thingy, there's a lot more uproar about like, look, the ones that are getting paid are not contributing anything, and the whole thing is just like it's farming, engagement farming, and anyone that Elon Musk was shilling for. So it's like, dude, this is crap. And that's one thing that's kind of made the site annoying because the algorithm is all. It's still messed up in my opinion. I don't like it. There's some people that I like seeing their stuff for, and I don't find it. So this one's the for you column that I have here. But normally this is the one I prefer following because it's just what I want. Because I hate the for you. I don't like the algorithm. And you experienced something similar to that, huh?
Oh yeah, I went after the for you thing. I went after the community notes. I went after the engagement farming. I went after the new blocking system.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't like
I
that
went
either.
after their hiding the likes. The privacy, and then they straight up admitted that they sold the X now belongs to XAI, which means that your data is quite literally being used to train Grok.
Yes, and honestly, That's the first thing I said when Elon Musk bought it. All the way at the beginning was like, hey, look, guys, I will join Twitter again or like reactivate my account. But I will say this, he just bought the biggest data mine of anything because he's gonna feed his Starlink, his Neuralink, and all that. This is before Grok came on. So when Grok was being teased, like, oh, of course, it's gonna be so smart with all that data there. They're like, I'll be straight up with you. I want to see a search engine powered by X, whether it's like Grok or something. I've been impressed, but that's because that's where the news is happening. It's happening here on X. And when I'm looking for news on Google, it's mapping over to X anyway. So I'm like, literally, I've been grokking it lately, but because it's an AI, it's only as smart as you let it be. It's using your data. So this whole thing about use X communication because it's encrypted end to end. Well, yeah, but it's still somehow feeding Grok. And with this whole rumor that they're going to be launching X Mail soon, not to mention X digital payments. Oh my goodness! If people had an uproar over the ADL being involved with PayPal to monitor expenditures and reporting to financial institutions, imagine Grok just seeing everything that you're doing, every communication you're making. It's like, no, of course not. I want no part of that.
Yeah, it's like transparent privacy is not a thing on X. Now I use X day to day for the news roundup. I find something, I verify it, I then I put it into the bookmark folder for the roundup. And then when I actually put the roundup together, I go back to X and I go copy it and put it into the roundup.
Yeah.
So X is the place to be. As much as I might not like it, X is the place to be.
Yeah, and do you? I think you're verified. Do you use this? This is X Pro.
No, I don't. Because most of my losing the most of my news roundup thing, I scroll through X on my phone, and then when I get to my computer, I put the roundup together.
Ah, I see. Yeah, then yeah. I remember when X Pro used to be it's called TweetDeck back then, and it used to be for the phone. If you had like a bigger phone, maybe like a foldable, it would kind of make sense to use it too. But all these are a list of things that curated so then I could go through all the news too, and I created different decks. So this one is like my news wire. Whenever I have to pull some stuff up, if it's going to be like real estate center, then I filter it all out and just look at these. Where it's apartment associations, real estate news aggregators, and it's just following the hashtag. Not many people are using hashtags anymore, but I use this hashtag and I could add another column if I want to. And then for streaming, for example, if I'm going to do a stream, that's going to be my timeline. So this is like my X feed, and then this would be any tweets that I've saved or bookmarked, or that I wanted to highlight, and then things to the right, and other posts and things. So I like it because it's able to do all that. You can create the deck to however you want. And for anybody that's really looking into the news, this might be one of the better ways to do it because it's constant. That's what it's doing. See, it's constantly updating, so it can be exhausting. So this is one of the ways to like keep try to keep up with some of the news, but it's like, dude, it's still refreshing. So let me just click away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
100%. That's what it is. I have one set up. I just don't get a chance to do it because I'm normally in the car with
yeah,
people when I'm looking for the news.
yeah, but for those watching, this is primarily why I'm on X. I'm always on X because the news is there. There really isn't any other place. If there's a place that comes, it's a distant second, but it's almost like this. That distinction will be to what some people are saying that X is turning into, and that is Gab. So let me share the Gab tab now. So this is Gab. Oh, we start talking about Gab, with all the changes on X versus Twitter 1.0, what are your thoughts? Was Twitter 1.0 better than what X is now, or it's still we're through the growing pains? What do you think?
I think it's going through the growing pains because censorship is still there, as I covered in my review. And privacy, like we said before, is non-existent on X. I don't care what anyone tells you. End-to-end encryption, give me a break. Privacy is not there. And transparency is definitely not there. if you email press at x.com, you get back, sorry, we're not available. Yeah, nothing. Or transparency is not a thing there. And you tweet to them, they never respond. It's look, transparency is not a thing. I don't know if transparency is a thing on Gab because I put a piece years ago on Gab saying that I won't review them until Andrew Torba learns how to separate Christianity from Gab. Not because I have anything against Christianity, but when you make the whole platform against about Christianity, it can be a massive turnoff.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying there. I don't take any offense to it as a Christian myself, but I also know exactly what you're saying, because there are those that have left the platform because it was Christian, and even I know of those in the faith that have issues with different doctrinal viewpoints and theories that are espoused, where we're like, no, that's not biblical, and they'll battle it out. But some people get turned off by how awful that division gets among doctrinal disputes, that they're like, I'm done here, I'm leaving. And they attribute that to those that are being espoused from the leadership on down, and they would judge the whole platform as such. So I totally get that, because that goes for just about any place. It's just that I often feel that the same people having issues with, like, let's say Gab, like, oh, I don't like that they're espousing this viewpoint, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. Yeah, those same people will complain about Mark Zuckerberg, but last I checked, they're still on Facebook, they're still on Instagram, they still use WhatsApp, and maybe they even use Oculus. So it's like, why are people holding one standard to one platform, but not the same for the other one, when in some respects it's going against everything they believe in, and their data is being sold off to fund a lot of the things they don't believe in. So I believe there's a lot of inconsistency there among some people that I've seen. But in terms of like how X has the way they morphed and the growing pains they're going through, I have seen, of course, we've seen some people announcing that they've been leaving, but keeping out those that are just radical in their hate for Elon, because pretty much why they left, or oh, they have hate speech allowable on X. No, it's just that so long as you're not insulting Elon, you're not going to be censored. But if you're insulting Elon, you'll find yourself, or say something that he doesn't like, you'll find yourself on the wrong side of things, like Laura Loomer did earlier this year. And just like,
By the way, when Laura Loomer did her thing, I was locked out of X myself.
You were.
Yes, I covered it in the review actually, but not because I'm all by myself. It was beyond dumb. Joe Biden said something, and I'm very strongly opinionated. Even though I say I'm not making endorsements in any elections, I'm very strongly opinionated.
Yeah.
And I told Biden to jump in the lake. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything that is violent. I didn't say anything that's nasty. Jump in the lake is one of the oldest lines in the book. And if anyone takes you seriously, then maybe they should go to a psychologist or psychiatrist for mental help. Anyways, I said to jump in the lake. Within a minute, I got locked out for violent speech.
Really?
And I couldn't believe it. I tweeted about it from my personal account. I raised a little uproar about it, because for a figure of speech that everyone knows is a figure of speech, I got locked out of X.
Yeah, like saying go
now,
pound
even
sand.
that, getting locked out of X, didn't make me review it as fast as what happened with Laura Loomer and everyone who was against H-1B visas. And I was going to say I'm going to put out my statement soon about how I feel about it. And I was going to do in-depth research to it. But then when I saw people losing their monetization, losing their gold check marks, their blue check marks, access, getting locked out, I'm like, this is Elon clearly having a vendetta against people who disagree with him.
Oh yeah.
And I said, this is not happening under my watch. Accountability, hold everyone accountable, means hold everyone accountable. So I put out a fair review, but I reviewed them and I called them out for it.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up getting, let me see, give me a second. They ended up getting a 5 out of 10.
Mm.
And I wasn't playing around. There's no reason on earth that you could claim to be free speech, absolutist, and add that too, and then take away monetization from people because you disagree with them. That's not free speech absolutism.
Yeah, and I totally agree. That's one thing that I tell people. That's like, look, Elon is a naturalized citizen, but is not an American in terms of being born and raised here under this Constitution. It's something that he still had to learn. And this whole thing about MAGA, for example, yes, he was very instrumental in supporting the cause, but he was never MAGA, and it was proven almost immediately. And that goes the same for Vivek, because he burned his career pretty much in that whole H-1B debate too, and that's why he didn't even take part in Doge. So when I saw all that transpire, one of the big talking points that you brought up was trying to reach support, like, hey, what's going on here? And no one ever responded. And if someone like Laura, who had over I think it was like 1.2 million at the time in followers, she couldn't get an answer from support, how much less those of us that are considered small creators? Like, I did apply to be a small creator when I qualified, but the moving goalpost, they ended up raising their criteria after I had applied, and I was waiting to hear back. I never heard back anything. I tried following up. I didn't hear back I at all. And then they said, "Oh, you're able to apply to be a creator when you qualify." So what are you talking about? Like, I went to go check the status, and like, how could I not qualify now when I did? I submitted the application, and it was in review, and now the criteria is completely different, and it's very very steep. I'm like, dude, who's gonna be able to get that unless Elon is like reposting them? So I didn't like that. It's annoying that it's come to that, but it's still a place that I'm in, and I will be there. Now, I do think that your assessment of it being on average in terms of the standards is being held up to, I would agree. And in a sense, it's X has eaten into a lot of the user base that was over at Gab. Even you made that claim to me in private before, where it's like I'm sure a lot of people from Gab left over to X. Yeah, and I agree that I believe that because people believe that X was the bastion of free speech, but after the whole H-1B thing, a lot of people returned to Gab because they saw it for what it was. Like, no, there's so much censorship. However, the censorship in that case was really due to the leadership. And Andrew Torba won't be able to answer or respond to this for himself, but someone has been on my show previously, and they've been on Gab since like 2016, 2017, or whatever it is. They've seen the changes, and they've seen people get banned and just completely removed from Gab for speaking out against Andrew Torba, holding a different opinion and such. So I don't know if that still happens, but it just comes to show that even on a platform like Gab, that's free speech, that it wasn't immune to that sort of thing.
And I know that on Truth Social, even though Truth Social hasn't come in the conversation, if you talk anti-Trump or anti the TMTG parent company, I know that they had issues. But when I did do my review, which is still on the digitalfreepress.com, I was told clearly that from an employee that he would faster point. I asked him to point me in the right direction to talk to somebody for the review, and he was told me that he would clear faster, that he would jump off a bridge before telling me where to go.
Wow. What's that about?
So,
What a response. What kind of response is that?
so then I put out my statement about what I do with my reviews, and said, yes, I'm attacked. I collect data, but if you know who I am, part of my reviews is about privacy, as is evident from my X review, my Mastodon review, my Bluesky review, and Threads review. But I'm like, I have a duty. Now it's my job to review platforms, I'll review. And I dove right in. You don't want to work with me? That's your problem, not my problem.
Yeah.
And let me pull up my my truth social review. Give me a second.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up True Social itself. I'll wrap up what Gab is, but since you're talking about it, let me pull it up.
I gave them. It's a short review, but I gave them a 6.7 out of 10 because I reviewed them. The review came out December 15th, 2022. They got rid of the wait list. I don't know if you remember that they had a wait list.
Yeah.
So that was a plus, but the place was full of bots. They have their own app now, so that's a plus. But transparency they did not have. I got an email showing someone getting his account banned. No apology, nothing. And my thing has over 700 followers. But with not 700. Let me see in a second. Let me pull my Truth Social. Where's Truth Social? For those watching, I'm looking at my phone. Sorry that I'm not screenshotting, but
it's all right.
Yeah, I have 721 followers. But I don't get any engagement.
Correct.
And then, like I said, they told me they would jump in the bridge. I'm like, you know what? Fine, jump in the bridge. Do me a favor. You're not hurting me by not being transparent. You're hurting your customer base.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think, what you say. You're not hurting me. I'm not insulted. I don't know you. I never met you in person. Okay, jump off the bridge. Don't point me in the right direction.
Yeah, that's just an odd take from them. But like you were saying about plus, well, here's the plus side. Also now, Get Truth Plus. So you can just let's see. It's opening another page now. So let me share this tab. This is now part of Truth, where you're technically getting like premium content. Here I haven't used it since they actually offloaded it from the site, but I was part of the beta when they were working on this. It's just very interesting because I would like to try to host my show here if they allow podcasters, but for now it looks like it's just actual channels like Newsmax,
Yeah, I
One
don't think
American
they have
News.
podcasts. I have the app. I don't. I'm kind of not interested in reaching out again because they don't want transparency. Unless I get a hold of Devin Nunes, which between me and you, I'm not getting hold of him. I think they're very far from being transparent.
No, I agree. And to wrap it up a little bit about Gap, because I also want to get moving on to the other ones that you did review recently. I did want to say for those that are curious, because this is an interesting thing, Gab last year ended up moving towards a paid model. They weren't like if you were on a free model, you were only able to put text. You weren't able to use pictures anymore because Gab, since they don't technically don't have ads from like those giant advertising firms that buy ads and targeted ads here. They just do it from small companies and such that actually pay to put their ads here to target the base. It's basically self-funded in a way, and they rely on donations. They rely on pro users like myself to keep them afloat. And recently, Gab AI, which is something that when I talk about AI, I'll dedicate some time to it. But with everything that they've been doing, they did eventually allow for a limited amount of media that could be uploaded by free accounts. But that caused a huge exodus from Gab because there were those that were just flooding like with so much media take up and using up all these storage things. They ended up going to Truth. Some of them went to Gettr. Other ones found Parler because it opened up again, and they were abandoning Gab in that sense. Um, and it looks like right now this meter to the top right, it's called Help Keep Gab Online. That's the meter that every single month they're tracking so they can keep their goals met to keep free speech, is to say. um, and I know that they've been trying to make sure that Gab AI itself is helping out, but it's not enough to keep their operations going. So I do see Gab eventually turning into an all paid model for anyone using it. I just don't know how sustainable that's going to be. This model itself, that's become a little more paid, it's been going on for about a year now. And now they're probably going to be even more strict with that and just saying it's a paid experience now. So we'll see what that means for the longevity of Gab. I'm going to switch over to
Yeah, I agree with you.
yeah. All right, so I have three here. I guess let me start. Let me start with this one. Um, this one's Bluesky, and you reviewed it. You gave it a rating of, let's see, you did it on April 22nd. The policies that screw you over. You said that the Blue Sky's terms of service, privacy policy, and community guidelines are built to dodge and dominate. The TOS says they can suspend or terminate your account for any reason or no reason. No criteria, no appeal process, just a contact us link. That's to support, and that's a void. You emailed them on April 15th asking what triggers bans, no reply. Community guidelines ban hate and extremist content, but give zero definitions. Yeah, and I can tell you that um, uh, going back to someone that I'm acquainted with. So Laura, after getting censored from the H1B stuff, came over to Blue Sky, and I told her, you know, you're banned already, right? She's like, what? Because all she did was open the account, was telling her fans, and I'm like, hey, just letting you know that it's not even been 45 minutes and you're already banned. So she did get banned within that time frame, but eventually she did get her account back. But that's just it. Like what you said, there really is no criteria. This is the place I've received the most threats in any platform. And I get a lot of hate from X, but I got a lot of hate from Gab too. I got a hate from Instagram, but not in the but I've never been threatened like I've been threatened on the Blue Sky. And those accounts are still up. It's nuts. I don't understand how those rules work. So you gave these guys a rating of this is well, that's Blue Sky. Your review. Here we go. You said that threats and porn they let rot, like you said. User experience, slick lies, no delivery, a free speech loser, and you gave it a 2 out of 10. And here's your post over on Pickaxe, the article people can check out. And so you said Blue Sky is a free speech fraud. Vague rules, ignored threats, rampant porn. They dodge accountability, ghosted my April 15th and 17th emails, and leave users with no privacy, no security, no voice. I tested their app, reported issues, and got nothing. 37 screenshots, 9 porn reports, 0 fixes. Hold everyone accountable. Blue Sky fails hard. Transparency is key. They're allergic, but I don't want to crush. I don't want them to crash. I want them to step up, define your rules, enforce it to fix your app, answer your emails. You got potential, use it, or you're just another centralized con. And I think that's the key thing there. This was launched by Jack Dorsey after leaving Twitter as the decentralized platform, and it didn't live up to those standards, as you're saying. And you're calling them out for failing at being that the standard that they set themselves up to. But you're hoping that they would. So you're not saying that they should go away.
I'm not here to make anyone fail. Like I said before about Truth Social, I don't care. I have nothing to gain by you failing. I have to gain. My ward is to protect free speech. That's what my ward is. If you fail, that's on you. I'm not here to shut you down. I'm here to show you, and if the people read my review, you see that I say how to fix it. I want you to win. I want you to make money. I want you to do what you need to do. But do it! don't ignore emails. Don't destroy your own privacy policy. Don't use people's data. Don't. It's not so hard.
Hmm.
How hard can it be?
Well, for for themselves, it might be a little too difficult. and and speaking of decentralized, one of the more famous Fediverse platforms is Mastodon, and that is the backbone of Truth Social. So this is your review. So let me show them really quick what the UI looks like. So the UI will look like this. Yes, because yours truly is there, and it's depends on the server. Without getting too much into the woods about how all this works, there are different kind of like nodes on this decentralized blockchain of sorts, and I'm on one of them called a server called Mastodon.social. I used to be on a different one, but I wasn't getting any traction. Over here, I got I guess 4 followers. That's more than I had before. And I have 714 posts because a lot of my stuff just mirrors over here. But it looks like this. It looks kind of dated. They were testing out some beta thing to make it look a little better, but it really much feels like almost everything feels about the same. And when it comes to your review, you titled it "Transparency and Accountability Fail," and just to skip to the end, you gave it a 1 out of 10, which is even worse than Bluesky.
Let me say something. I actually thought it was going to do better than Bluesky because they responded. And I'm like, you actually responded. You want to work for nothing. No interest. They give me a vague response. So I sent them another email like, you're giving me vague responses. Can you give me a good answer? They don't even had, I looked up mastodon.com/terms or Mastodon, nothing. No service, error 404. I called them out on it to the email. I actually have a WhatsApp group where I post my insiders. I'm like, can you imagine a platform without a service? How on earth does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And they told me to check their privacy policy. I'm like, privacy policy and terms of service are two different things.
Wow.
My mind was blown. And yeah. Then they kept being vague, and then they just shut me down for 2 weeks. I was generous. I gave them a 2-week deadline. They shut me down. Like, really? You're trying to fool people into thinking you're transparent? You're not. Transparency and accountability fail.
Yeah. I haven't been on a Mastodon all that much. I have received hateful comments there, but not to the threats that I received on Bluesky. However, those that are concerned about disgusting content, like on X, X tends to show violent content because of news items, and of course, if you deeper, I'm sure you'll find OnlyFans stuff. But the thing is, Bluesky and Mastodon have become a safe haven for a lot of other more disgusting debauchery and behaviors on people from Mastodon. That's why I don't engage on it. I don't want to, and that's why I'll only post my stuff, but I'm not there. You dropped a review also, but I didn't get the link to it for Threads. Did you not?
Here, let me send you the link right now.
Okay, and I'm gonna present the Threads link.
First,
here.
let me find it. I have to go to pickaxe where my keeps notes because I like to reference it when I need to. But I forgot to send it to you last night. Sorry about that.
No problemo. Threads. There it is. Another pickaxe article. And for those that are watching, this is what Threads looks like when you're not logged in. One thing for people to note is that in the case of Bluesky, Mastodon, they all are part of this thing called the Fediverse. So technically, you can connect your Threads account to be able to share to the Fediverse. And the reason, to me, that was a big deal because it was one of the first platforms of its kind with big money tied behind it to be able to support that kind of integration. Minds is another one that comes to mind, no pun intended, that also does something quite similar, but they connect to Noster. And I do have that one pulled up, but I might just do a wrap up on that let me just see. But what you gave in terms of threads, you eviscerated them too.
Oh, yeah.
Threads,
Well,
meta. What's that?
is there really any shock? Threads is meta.
Exactly. A meta disaster or free speech hope. Without having to like just look at the well, let's go to your overall review here. I mean, what did you award these guys? The zero? I don't remember what you rated
Let
it
me pull
at.
it up. Give me a second. Where's my thing? Sorry. Oh, this is still Mastodon. The Reds.
Oh, you gave it a 3 out of 10. Three for a half decent app, zero for data scams and ghosting. And I think what's something that you said that was very key was if you delete a post off your feed, and if you're feeding it to the Fediverse, technically it's still on the Fediverse.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how they can unring that bell, honestly. But that one, I didn't think about that. I haven't deleted one, but I didn't think about that. That's true, huh? If you post something that you regret or whatever, it's out there. The internet's forever.
Yep.
But in terms of what it is, I guess the part that I hate is that if you have an Instagram account, technically you have threads. How did you end up reviewing it? You created a threads account,
Yep.
but you didn't have an Instagram account.
I have an Instagram account.
You do? Oh, I didn't know that. I guess we have to follow one another there. Do you use it?
Instagram, not really. I used to post news on it. I'm going to start again, but no, I don't use it.
Yeah, that explains why I didn't know you had one. But well, so you created it from your Instagram account, or did you create a Threads account independent from Instagram?
No, I created it from my Instagram account
Okay, okay, yeah. So that's
when it
how
was
they
still in
cheat.
beta.
Yeah, and that's how they cheat the user base because yeah, you could have a user base that doesn't mean they're active. There's a lot of people I know that I have a Threads account because Instagram told them to activate it, but it's not like those are actual signups of people going there to use it. The ones that I do know that use it are tech tubers. They had jumped to Mastodon after Elon allowed controversial figures back onto X when they kind of give like a um oh my goodness, what's it called? Like, well, anyway, they said amnesty when they gave him amnesty. So they jumped over to Mastodon. That's why I ended up going to Mastodon too to follow some of these content creators. Like these are tech news sites like Windows Central and the like. But it never really took off in that respect. But then some of this started coming over to Threads when that opened up and tried to make it a thing. And until recently, some of the big tech tubers that I respect, they were saying, follow me on threads, because they weren't saying follow me on Twitter anymore. They were saying follow me on threads. So it's kind of like a jab at X or Twitter because of all that. And now this is hilarious because I've always signed off my show by saying follow me across the socials. Some of these tech tubers are now saying follow me across the socials. So yeah, because you know that they're not following you on threads, man. Threads, you can get the numbers, but you don't get the engagement either. You can get it if you're in the cool kids club over at X, which some of them were. They're just neglecting their audience. But privacy issues and all that. Can you elaborate on some of that stuff because this is meta?
Give me a second. Let me reopen my review. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Privacy. They steal your name, email, phone, location, and everything. What's that? Health data. They snoop for your likes, guess your for ads. But this is meta.
Yeah.
What else? Cookie policy stalks you for sites. Non-essential. I turned off non-essential stuff. Ads in the stop. No private profiles. Deleted a post, like you said. Still there. Quarter 1 earnings 2020. 2 billion from Threads ads. Emailed nothing. Then censorship is just whatever. They don't have 2-factor things. They've been blocking, doesn't work. kill bots. They're not going to kill bots.
Yeah,
And
bots are annoying. And they try to get more engagement by integrating some of the threads feeds into Instagram now. So just like you could scroll on your feed on Instagram and you can see stories like summarized for other people like in a carousel at the bottom. Um, Now they're doing that with threads, so they can get engagement going on over there.
because as everyone on X says, Threads is dying.
Yeah, and I even put it out there with like, look, because I was responding to some big tech tuber saying that X is dying, but I'll still check it every now and then. But follow me over on Threads, and I'm like, I'm the opposite. I'm here until it's gone, but Threads isn't really where it's happening either. So that YouTuber ended up going on to say, follow me across the socials because he has been doing more on X. But I think the most concerning part about Threads, and this was from the very beginning, they were asking for even more data than Instagram and Facebook ever did, which is even crazier considering that this is supposed to be a decentralized platform, the opposite of what the meaning is. So it's, I think it's a bait and switch for sure.
Yep.
Alrighty, and now to wrap that all up, because I will touch on pickaxe because that's where your articles have been, and if you want to stick around for that, absolutely. But this is one that's near and dear my heart, and as is yours, because you've been on it too, and this is how we kind of got acquainted. This is Parler, and there's been some controversial stuff happening as of late over on Parler. But Parler is my place. I finally hit 600 followers. Whoop whoop. It took forever, but I'm there. um, they did update their interface, and I'm at a 76-day streak. No, I'm way more than that. That thing just doesn't always update. It's annoying, but they are improving the overall user experience. But along the way, there are bugs that happened. So now that they're updating their interface online to match more of the app, on the left hand side, people will be able to see the wallet. It's no longer called Parler Pay. It's the Kaivo wallet, something like that. It's the digital rewards optio currency thingy and other things you can manage there. And then, of course, Play TV that people are aware of. But they're now with the on your profile you can now have post comments media, but now when you're on the home screen, the part that I don't like, it's annoying because it defaults every time you refresh or log back in. You have to re set your preferences for the top tabs because there's a for you. I don't like it. This is my following. These are the accounts that I care about. And I'm glad Benghazi Notes is here. Let me hit a like because they just mirror their post over from X, but they're active on it now. They discover global mutuals groups welcome. And here, when you click it, you can shut a lot of these things off. I shut off the for you, the global, and others. I have groups, so I keep those. But the thing is, you have to do this every time you log back in or refresh. So let me hit refresh. Look, it worked this time. Good. But when I just logged back in, I had to do this again. So that's the part that's annoying. But that wasn't the only thing. There are some interesting bugs that have made engagement suck over the past week. So I think they ironed out some of those. But what's your overall feel? Because you haven't been able to review this thing. But if people were
They
to,
keep telling me to wait it out, wait it out, wait it out. And because they want to work with me, I am waiting it out. Because
okay,
I want them to succeed. So if they're gonna be in contact with me throughout the whole review, then I'll wait it out. Because again, like I said earlier, I don't review to destroy a platform. I don't review to show a platform who's better, who's worse.
yeah.
I'm here to show the users, my fans, even not my fans, even people that don't know about me. I'm here to show the public what they're about, what their issues are, and then you make an educated decision.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you. And I think one of the key things here is that Parler isn't entirely built out yet, kind of like Pickaxe. There are things they're adding and ironing out. Like one of the big things that's not here, but you can see it on the app, is the Parler store. So you can't access it here from the Parler web browser, but you can go to the app and you'll be able to access the Parler store, and it's a very built out store. Like Amy Robbins, she's a Parler ambassador, a brand ambassador. She has her own store called Athletica, I believe it's called. It's athletic wear for the everyday carrier, so they can store their everyday carry in it. It was primarily geared towards women.
Yeah, I'm on their site on my phone now. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
and
they're
you
looking
can
away.
see it, right? So what I'm saying is that on their app, you'll be able to see just how much more built out it is. So they are approaching it from a mobile first thing, and I do like the new video integration that they have with the posts, because the video player and the experience is better than what it used to be. And then now it carries out over to the website. What I don't like is that by default, the videos autoplay with audio. So it's annoying. I wish it by default it would be silent. And if I wanted to hear it, I would then click it like I would do on X. But people started noticing, I think I might see it here. People started noticing there's these sponsored posts showing up. Like, here's one. This one's sponsored. So what's the going on here? And that one, people are like, oh, so now there's going to be ads on this. Well, it has to be sustainable in some way. So that was an eventuality, which I don't know how it's going to play out for Play TV, because I hope ads don't ruin that experience. But one thing that I do like about this ad experience, because they do give you, like every other place gives you an option to boost a post, so you got to pay for like a campaign. But the thing is, what makes this awesome is that for those of us that have been able to accrue Optio rewards points through the community, like engagement or just using Parler and even Play TV, you can use those to boost your own post. And that I absolutely love, because now you're creating something and you're keeping it within the family, so to speak. So I do like what they're doing there. Um, that doesn't mean people can't pay with money to advertise, but that's one way to get some posts into more eyeballs. And like you said, this one is gonna be like a preview thing. So let me go to another one that's kind of like on the preview stage, and that's Pickaxe. So this one is Pickaxe. This is one that you turned me on to. The best way I can describe it is Substack, but if it was integrated with Rumble instead of YouTube. So this is where you've hosted some of your articles. Actually, all the articles that I showed today were all here on Pickaxe, and these are the same articles that people can find on your blog, right? Like your website,
I
Digital
did
Free
not
Press.
put them on my blog. I'm gonna be
Oh,
a little open with the special for the Andres Segovia fans. I am waiting for the digitalfreepress.com to get a whole new makeover, and then I'm going to start putting some things on my site. And because transparency is key, because Jeff Dornick of Pickaxe is my friend, I am going to keep putting things on his on Pickaxe.
nice, right on. And see, we all support one another, and just help ourselves in the space. I like Jeff's mission. He's been really adamant against this AI stuff. I don't know if you saw this. He reposted this one. So Google created a their own streamer, like Twitch streamer, and it was supposedly the Twitch streamer playing Minecraft. It was about a 10-second clip, and it's as eerie as you can think of it at being. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
All right, I'm going to have to pull this up, because it's the stuff of nightmares, and you have to see it for yourself. Because it is bothersome. It should be under my like, so let me pull that up. Because everybody's introducing AI, everybody wants their own AI, which is so annoying. Um, it's- yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let me see. Did I like that many posts? Where's Jeff's post? And through the magic of editing, this won't take long.
To the
Has
magic
it
of the
been?
internet, this won't take long.
Dude, has it been that long? No way. What the heck is it? Oh, No, for some reason it didn't show. Okay, so let me go to my replies because I did reply to that. I said I hate it because it's absolutely gross. Yeah, here it is.
Okay, let's
Okay.
see what's
All
going
right.
on.
This is AI generated.
What am I watching?
This that's not real. That's an AI generated. That's an AI generated streamer playing Minecraft.
Okay, no. Shut that off. No.
Look, the craziest part, he doesn't know what to do with his hands. He never blinks. And that was like when I saw, like, I don't know, is that really legit? Like, oh snap, that the soulless look in his eyes, its eyes, and the worst part is not even being able to clasp the hands because that's what always happens with any AI. They don't know what to do with their hands. And supposedly, this other one is a Fortnite streamer.
Okay, I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
All right, let me switch away. So Jeff has been very much adamant against this whole AI business. And one thing that he strives for is maintaining that you will never be replaced on Pickaxe, that authentic creators will be here, and it's a free speech haven, as he's calling it. I don't know if he uses haven as the word, but what he means is you will not be censored for having wrong speech. Um, and I am curious to see how that will play out once it gets a lot more traction and more users start jumping in and start trying to abuse that limit. Because of course, I imagine there'll have to be some kind of content moderation because there will always be those that try to abuse the system.
Yeah, when I
But
review Pickaxe, I'm gonna bring that up to Jeff.
yeah, and it's someone that we're both acquainted with. You've known him a lot longer than I have. A good guy, and I appreciate everything that he's trying to do for content creators because it is something that I mapped my Rumble channel over to this now. So whenever I post to Rumble, whenever it goes live on Rumble, it does show up without me having to post it. So I really like that. It takes it's one more step out of that for me where I don't have to worry about it, especially since Rumble turned off their RSS feed. So I can't use that anymore, which is annoying. So I don't know how Jeff and the team did it to be able to get those videos, but I do appreciate that it's there. So that's so those are incoming previews for the Digital Free Press that Yossi is going to be holding Parler and Pickaxe accountable. But it's very interesting that we're even talking about these other ones in the space where there's just so many. It just seems that there is still room for the social media landscape. It's just annoying that it's kind of like islands, so to speak, because not everybody's there. So the way I've treated social media platforms, so this is my website now. If it will connect, come on, share this tab. Okay, there we go. So now this is my website. So this is the page where I put get in touch because I have my Instagram feed, my Vero feed. That's another one, kind of like Instagram. I like Vero better because it's decentralized, and when it feels like it, sometimes you'll see my X timeline. But all these platforms that I'm on, it's either the Andres Segovia or underscore Andres Segovia on X. So I'm verified almost across all of these except Gettr. Gettr, I don't even bother with them. No one's responding to anything over there. So there's all of these different platforms.
Gettr. Well, I have a very bad feeling about Gettr because everyone left.
Yeah, it's like the Steve Bannon channel now. If you're a Steve Bannon or Charlie Kirk, you'll get it. They had a brand ambassador, Isabel Brown, and she never engaged with anybody that I saw after like the first week. So like, okay, so what's the point? Like you're allowing live streaming. Let us that were on the platform Give us access to it. I've been asking for. Oh, you have to be verified first. So how many times do I have to wait to be verified? Because I've requested it over and over and over again, submitted it. It's been in review. No one follows up. You'll hear back in a week. It's been 18 months. 3 different attempts to verify. I even got through the Gettr Premium to express verify, and none of that ever worked. They introduced light verification. Nothing like that ever happened. No one responds to emails after the initial ones.
Okay, I'll tell you this much. All my contacts at Gettr are gone. They're in the Trump administration now. They're spokespeople. I would help you if I could, but I don't have anyone.
Yeah, it's all good. Like, hey, I offered up my show. No one was responding. So like, okay, fine. I'll take my business elsewhere. But every now and then I'll go in there and post some stuff. And yeah, but there's all these different
I see you're on
platforms.
Hedgehog too.
Yeah, I'm on Hedgehog. I was there like shortly after John set it up.
Hedgehog is
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I want to have him.
another platform I want to review, but
Yeah, I was trying to ask John like on the show so we could talk about it and things and what his goal was. But the thing about Hedgehog, what's stood it back, it was a really big test because Hedgehog was a pay to play setup at first. That you couldn't do anything like post videos or pictures, anything like that, because you had to pay to do so. And that's what was a barrier to entry. That's one of the reasons people left in droves from Gab. That's why Gab had to allow media. And until recently, I noticed that you can actually post pictures on a free account over on Hedgehog. But is it too little, too late? But it's still there, chugging along. There's some engagement, but I did notice that the editors section with all the news feed, it's no longer active per se. But there's still a lot in the space, a lot of similarities with the user interface.
yeah,
'cause you
I'm
can only-
there. I'm on Hedgehog.
yeah, there's only so much user interface tweaks that you can change. But from all these, people can, if they find a place, great. The way I treated these things are like the old days of chat rooms or forums because people are spread out everywhere. There's no really one centralized place that I've noticed. So that's kind of how I treat it. It's a different chat room. There might be some overlap with some individuals, but other than that, it's not a central place anymore. And while I don't like that, I was hoping that the Fediverse could be that. But while the Fediverse technically is a good thing with like the free, fair, and open internet, it's also being run by communists. So I find that highly hilariously contradicting. So we'll see how it all pans out from there. I didn't show Substack because Substack isn't really a social media platform. They're trying to adopt
I
that.
post my news right up there. I just don't.
You use it on the
I
note
never
section?
even posted. I never posted an article there.
Oh, okay. But are you using the note feature? It's kind of like a Twitter
Yeah,
feed.
that's. I use it like social for the little feed. That's it.
Yeah, I noticed that recently they started kind of kind of feeding the algorithm. Even though I don't engage or speak about politics there, because I don't. I've been getting all this like right wing stuff, and like I don't remember asking for this. But there are some big accounts that I do follow there because that's where they're posting their news exclusively. And that's where Laura was before she jumped over to X and relied on the subscription over there. So yeah. Yeah, but overall, it's so long as there's new social media platforms, they'll continue to be a requirement for you to hold them accountable.
Trust me, we're never gonna hear the end of it.
I know, right? It's the human condition, but I think that's good enough where we just wrap it. So where people can follow you, to tell them where they can follow you, and we'll just
Yossi
end the
show
recording there.
across all social media platforms. Yossi Joseph Schmidt for pickaxe, but because that's how I legally spell my name. But so people know how to pronounce my name, I spell it Schmidt. And because it is Schmidt, and my
Gotcha.
name is Joseph, which is Yossi. Yossi show across all social media platforms, and more coming, I guess.
Yeah, and I like to do collabs with you. We'll talk about here off the air. But all these links for everybody watching and listening will be available in the description and down below at the show notes. Company's episode at dangeroussegovia.com. And that does it for this episode of The Andres Segovia Show. Remember to check out the show notes accompanying this episode at theandressegovia.com for any and all relevant links. Follow me across the socials at The Andres Segovia, across the socials, including X at _Andres Segovia. I'll see you in the next one.